What's up, Gamer Nation? It's your boy Tyler. Hi, it's Tyler. I'm going to play an amount of Tyranny that is more than 20 minutes, but if I'm sensible, and I'm not, less than an hour. I have played Tyranny in the past. I am a fan of the Obsidian-made, vaguely RPG Tyranny. So here's my very brief history. I swear to you, it's a very brief history. My brief history with Tyranny is I had picked up Pillars of Eternity, which is I'm sure a beautiful game that I find the introductory section of to be so impenetrable that I have never, not like in language, just sorry, impenetrable. I mean obscenely dull. And that's not a knock against the creators, because like I am a huge fan of Josh Sawyer, and I think that they're brilliant minds, but I don't know if it's the pacing or if it's something about like just the weird uh, mysticism of it that never really meshed with me. And frankly, I don't know what this says about my sensibilities as a gamer or a fan of story, but Tyranny I picked up around the same time that I had picked up Pillars of Eternity, but I didn't play it until a little after. It is something that I had meant to get to for a while. I liked the conceit of it. I liked it's nothing complicated, right? Like it is a tale almost as old as the tale as old as time. Tale as old as time. Good guy meets bad guy. Good guy wins. The tale that followed, because mankind's nature is to subvert. You know, evil. It's evil in the driver's seat this time, but most of the time, evil still loses. But sometimes evil wins, and in this case, at the outset at least, I haven't beaten it. Evil wins, and so I'm very curious to see where it goes. I have gotten a good portion into it in the past. I've never finished it, but not for lack of interest. I find the writing to be like thoroughly engaging the entire way through. Despite it's a shorter game from what I've heard, and therefore a lot more focused, and they were able to spend a little more time on individual. I like the faction system. I like. I think you do have to align yourself with one of them, like concretely. But I do like that the game has you at the outset making decisions. Why don't I just start jumping in, and I'll explain it to you as I go. But the game at the outset has you making decisions as to. I am not looking for a challenge. Not a CRPG challenge. But at the outset, the game has you making pivotal decisions in the battle leading up to the final conquest. And the final
For over
conquest.
400 years, the armies of Kairos the Overlord have swept across the known world. All who stood against them fell before their might. Even the Archons, women and men of immense power, were forced to kneel, chained to the Overlord's will. Now Kairos' final conquest has come to our corner of the world, and two of the Overlord's armies compete for the honor of taking our lands. The elite disfavored, and the teeming horde of the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nerat, spymaster and archon of secrets, guides the fierce and undisciplined masses of the Scarlet Chorus. With each battle, the Scarlet Chorus grows stronger, as the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die. Grave in ash, Archon of War and the Overlord's most loyal general, leads the disfavored. Though small in number, Kairos' ironclad legion has never met true defeat in open battle. Watching over the two generals is Tunon, the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, eldest of Kairos' minions. Tunon brings Kairos' laws to newly conquered lands, aided by the Fatebinders, judges and executioners of the Overlord's laws. You were among the youngest of the court of Fatebinders when Kairos' armies came to our lands. How could we have known that the fate of thousands would rest in your hands?
So, I remember the first time I played through, filling out. This is something that I've always thought is brilliant about Obsidian RPGs, and I've seen a lot of games follow suit. I don't know if they were the first ones to do this, but they were the first ones that ever stood out in my mind as that I ever actually came across. But they have this system where they'll introduce concepts to you, and it's a very difficult thing for a game to do, to find a balance between introducing concepts within like a wholly unique world to you, like a world that's fairly disparate from our own. It's hard for them to do it without having it be, a wall of text like this, where they're trying to explain every element of, any particular thing. So they have this very smart thing where you can mouse over keywords and it expounds on certain concepts without having to like drop it somewhere in the text. And you can read as much or as little as you want. Typically, a lot of these things you can get through context clues. But what I find to be really interesting about this game is that while you're deciding the pivotal moments of the battles and the conquests leading up to the final, certain things, how stereotypically, like, how horrendously villain do I make him? Do I give him the goatee? But there are decisions that you make, and a lot of them are not decisions. So they factor into how the two warring armies of Kairos feel about you, and the way that these armies, they're like decisions that you would be making anyway. They're not like convoluted for the sake of like this team or this team. Although in some cases it is you trying to purposely curry favor. But there are the way that the game initially introduces these factions as kind of an overview and their leaders to you. I don't know if everybody had this experience, but like I found my actual experience with the factions in game to be very different. I had initially, I think I'd initially mostly sided with this. What is it? The disfavored, I think they're called. The sort of Spartans of the group. Only because they seem very pragmatic. And the Scarlet Chorus kind of asserts itself as, if you're familiar with like the Warhammer universe, sort of the same approach that the Skaven take, where it's just sending numbers at your enemy. This is a distillation of what it is, but mainly conscripting people from the opposing army, prisoners, peasants, and handing them a weapon and telling them, like, get in there, versus the disfavored, I think it's disfavored, I will double check, versus the disfavored's sort of, smaller numbers but elite soldiers. But once I got in game, I found my opinions of them changing, partly based on actually meeting the leaders of themselves. I liked the voices of Narat a lot. A lot, a lot. And found his favorite to be boisterous dickweeds. No, that's too, like... there's something very contemporary CEO. I like this. It's not much different in vibe, but I'm still happy with it.
That wasn't so hard.
That's not his voice.
I'm injured, tired. Let's rest. Right. Curious. Flawless.
That's not his voice.
You learn something every day.
I don't particularly like any of them for him.
Look out.
The tattoos tell a story? I don't want his face tattooed. I feel like there's an element of the intention of disguise in... I kind of like that. I kind of really like that. Look, whatever my reasoning for this is going to be completely unreasonable. So let's... Now, the decisions that I make during the battle, I'm not going to base them on the knowledge that I have of the factions now, but as they are presented to me. I'm going to make the most pragmatic decisions for the man that I'm creating, who is not yet named, he's not yet fully formed, he's a lump of clay. And what you do with the lump of clay is you hit it seemingly completely at random until it takes a shape, and it may not be the shape you wanted, and it may not be a shape you like, but god damn it, I have to make a decision. All of these portraits are wrong. Everything that is presented to me now is so wholly wrong for him. They're good portraits, well made. I guess this. I think maybe it's a lack of imagination on my part, but I struggle with some of the more, like, boyish portraits, because some of them, I feel like he's a significant figure, and I feel like he has to have an energy about him, like he has to exude something. God damn it. Presentation is key, right? Like, especially as a significant figure, as a leader. Presentation is key. I think I had made my first guy a soldier. Born to noble parents who were groomed for leadership, your youth spent on letters, history, rhetoric, and other matters of culture and statecraft. Though you had wealth, creature comforts, you were expected to grow up quickly and bear the honor of shepherding others through prosperity, war. I wasn't gonna stream today because my stomach is doing... It picks days. It devours entire days of mine, and I have no say in them. I don't know if I'm assuming the mic is picking them up. But it decides for me what days it's going to ruin on a social level, where no matter what I do, I could do 1,000 jumping jacks. I could not eat. I could eat too much. I could eat a perfectly balanced amount. But it gurgles, and it's not GERD. Is it? think I like the idea of him being a noble scion, of being like a political figure who approached things from the perspective of somebody privileged, who make decisions that are not necessarily uh, I mean, being part of an evil empire, you are not meant to look at things from a humanistic perspective. You can, and I'm sure there's a way to make it work. But what I would assume is it's better if you could detach yourself from it and make high level decisions that are probably shitty, but effective. Because I don't like the idea. I like the idea of him mostly being part of these battles purely from an administrative position. Because I mean, he's an adjudicator who is present, but that doesn't mean that he's fighting. It doesn't mean that he's in the battle. As far as I know, I might be misinterpreting the lore. Um, so I like the idea of him not having that experience and gaining it as we go, being forged in the fires. And I like the idea of him softening a little bit. I'm making a lot of decisions before I play the fucking game, and I played it in the past, but I don't remember how things shake out. Trained in the following combat style, which, of course, being a noble scion, and being somebody who is much more interested in not getting their hands dirty directly, I like. What did that? I like the idea of him being magically inclined, but I want to hit. Tyler wants to hit, and I feel like sometimes there's got to be a little bit of character dissonance for your own pleasure. And this is going to be one of those occasions where, unless spells are super fun in this game, but I don't think so, because I didn't like them in Pillars. I don't like playing a magic user in Pillars. When I do play Pillars, which again seems to be a wonderful game, and I will get to it one day. I will get to it again one day. Somebody very near and dear to my heart bought me the sequel, and the sequel looks fucking great. It looks astounding. Somebody very near and dear to my heart bought me the sequel as a present, and I really want to get to it, so I will focus on that. Play the fucking game. Play the fucking game. Now I don't want to back down. So it's gonna be this. It should be bow. But no. I like the base color scheme. Anything I do will make it 100 times worse. Without a doubt. It's not better. Plus, it's such like a classic. It's such a classic color scheme. And I'm beholden to tradition. Who am I to veer from the established path? That's not my job. Although... Is that what it was originally? I don't think so. I'll watch the VOD. Banner customization. I want something properly prissy. Something prissy and something meaningful before held under scrutiny. I say meaningful. Meaningful in the way that a symbol can be meaningful. Like a something that's not right. Because there's a benevolence there. And he's not. And he doesn't pretend to be. I don't see him as being snooty, per se. I think he prides himself on imagined grit. Like me. I've replicated myself. One to one scale. Um, okay. I will not be playing around with his kit. Even if I end up regretting it deeply, I will not be playing with this kit. Oh, I see. That is to be spread. There is combat in the game, and you cannot avoid it. There's fucking nothing you can do about it. But as I always do with games where I shouldn't, I'm gonna put points into impractical things. Like this. No quick start.
All the world has fallen to Kairos, and now the Overlord's eye is on the Tears, our home. The last corner of the world free of Kairos' reign.
Sorry to hear that.
2 armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, march south from the Northern Empire, the last realm to fall to Kairos a century prior.
The Voices of Nerat is such a fucking cool... It's such a cool concept. And I want to get to him.
In the early days of 428, Kairos' armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we Tearsmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the Tears sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors, until it's too late.
Okay. The bastard city stood on the northern border between Kairos' empire and the Tears. Built upon a natural harbor at the crossroads between realms, the city was a nexus of commerce. To the Tears, it was the center of all wealth. To a northerner, it was little more than a backwater trading post. Its symbolic status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target in Kairos' military conquest. You've gotta stop. I'm trying to narrate. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kairos' armies. Taking this city would send a message to the rest of the tiers. Kairos' will is insurmountable. So let's delve into this for a second. I think it's important to get an overview of the two factions because they are the constant through the game. Disfavored. Disciplined and battle-hardened, the Disfavored are an elite legion in Kairos' army. They spearheaded the conquest of the younger realms, finding themselves always outnumbered, but never outclassed. Led by the steadfast and dutiful Graven Ash, whom they follow with obsessive devotion, they are committed to imposing their interpretation of order upon the relative lawlessness, the tiers. The Legion only tolerates Northerners in their ranks, priding themselves on their high standards and cultural purity. The Scarlet Chorus is little more than a gang of thugs and their captive slaves. Rather than organized under commissioned officers, the Chorus follow a hierarchy seemingly ruled by whoever has the bravado to command and defend their position. At the head of this chaotic pecking order, the Archon of Secrets, better known as the Voices of Narad, treats the Scarlet Chorus as his personal army. The Scarlet Chorus often suffers tremendous losses after battle, only to swell in the aftermath when captured enemies and collateral prisoners are given the cruel opportunity to join or die. History would remember the Gates of Judgment as the first battle of the conquest, but the real combat unfolded with advanced units of both armies preparing for the coming war. The Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus each had a plan to infiltrate the capital city. Which army did you join? I think the first time that I had done this, I split it fairly evenly with a slight disfavored bent. I'm also going to read about the leaders briefly. Graven Ash, the last of the great northern generals to stand against the Overlord in ages past, Archon Graven Ash, now serves Kairos as supreme commander of the Disfavored Legion, and is charged with conquering the tiers. Graven Ash shares a powerful bond with the soldiers under his command, and regards each of them as family. The death of a soldier at enemy hands represents a grievous loss to the old general, who bears the burden of his love with mournful stoicism. The Voices of Narad. Known in his official capacity as the Archon of Secrets, the Voices of Narad is equal parts genius and madman. Rumors abound that he can steal the minds of others, though few, if any, are alive to confirm as much. The subjects of his interrogation are never heard from again, and the Archon is able to recall the memories of his victims with startling accuracy. He is the inconsistent leader of the Scarlet Chorus, vacillating between commanding from the vanguard and directing his armies in absentia. Despite his strange methods, no one doubts that the Voices of Narad is an accomplished strategist, even suggesting that his madness stems from thinking hundreds, perhaps thousands of steps ahead of his enemies. It's a cool fucking concept. It's nifty. I think making a statement here. I can take a look at this. I didn't go to battle. I think making a statement here is important. And I think the Scarlet Chorus can make a statement better than anybody else with their method. You joined the Scarlet Chorus as they raided villages and small towns, conscripting every able-bodied man and woman into the army. The voices of Narat emphasized the rewards of conscription and enslavement over wanton bloodshed. Apparently his soldiers needed the reminder. The howling mobs of the Scarlet Chorus found easy pickings among the villages and frontier towns. Rallying an experienced gang under your control, you flooded the unprotected settlements with a deluge of bloodthirsty soldiers, rounding up the innocent from merciless rites of conscription. The young and infirm alike received makeshift weapons, and examples were made of all those who challenged your forces. Bolstered with fresh recruits, your army gathered strength for the invasion to come. Both decisions were about demoralizing, primarily. So I thought that would do the trick. Sorry, I'm trying to make decisions that kind of inform the character a little bit. I don't think he has a deep understanding of battle strategy and therefore likely would not be thinking of it from that perspective. Exactly. Okay. I will make my choice. Unfortunately, both that I like are Scarlet Chorus, so I'm going to try to divvy it up a little more. Only because I think that I would emphasize a parity between the two. I think I understand the direct cause or the direct effect of this better. There were few who could describe what horrors the Archon of Secrets visited upon his enemies during the conquest. Whether the Elder Mages knew little of the Archon's reputation or met with him out of curiosity didn't matter. Once the flap of the Archon's tent closed, none of them were heard from again, save for a strangled cry of alarm that ended just as swiftly. Leaderless, the School of Wild Wrath fell into disorder, and the remaining members were slain by the disfavored or conscripted into the Scarlet Chorus. Betrayal of the Bastard City. Your tactics of infiltration placed you in the Bastard City ahead of the main armies. Your work softened the city defenses for the arrival of Kairos' forces. But you wanted a decisive gesture that would give your allies a meaningful advantage. How did you assist in the fall of the Bastard City? I would not have done that. Both of these are direct action, which I don't feel that he's completely opposed to, but this would be foolish because he doesn't have the right kind of martial prowess. And I don't know how adept he is at... I think he understands manipulating and exploiting a populace better than anyone. It didn't take much to convince the Bastard City's downtrodden that Kairos was the superior power. You armed them with weapons and knowledge of a signal you would raise when the time was right. As the armies appeared outside the walls, you ignited a spark that fanned their anger into a full-scale riot. The chaos they spread in Kairos' name weakened the city to such an extent that its inevitable fall was but formality. I like that. I wanna... Okay. The Bastard City settled into a new state of normalcy, with every tower displaying Kairos' banner. Your name was whispered alongside rumors of a decorated career to come. The armies divided into two fronts, migrated south. Tunon sent word that you were to join the next frontier of Kairos' conquest, either as judge and overseer of the settlement of Lethian's Crossing, or as a war advisor, with the armies advancing into the realm of Apex. I think working as an administrator is exactly his shit. Precisely his shit. So that is what we'll do. Years ago, Lethian the Bold founded a small merchant town at the intersection of ancient old walls. A pact between the settlers and a mercenary company meant the caravans were able to travel without fear of bandits or bane. And the town thrived in modest insignificance. Sorry, I'm moving something where I would rather it be. Lethian's Crossing drew Kairos' attention for the iron deposits in the surrounding hills. With the region under Kairos' control, the northern smith mages could set up workshops to refine ore and arm the disfavored with the finest weapons in the known world. The Archon of Secrets dismantled the mercenary support with a generous bribe, taking the crossing in a bloodless victory. Tunon dispatched you to travel alongside Kairos' forces and bring order to the region. Okay. What I'm thinking... I wanted to side with the disfavored on this. And I think that I have to make a concession. Although, their strength would more than offset their disobedience, but raw numbers. The population of Lethian's Crossing had swelled from the emptying of lands destroyed by Kairos' armies. Although the Scarlet Chorus fought to keep the refugees under their control, the need for production could not wait. The new recruits were reassigned to haul iron ore from treacherous mine shafts. Labor more befitting slaves than Kairos' artisans. Though the disfavored grew stronger, with the advantage of more weapons, the Scarlet Chorus diminished as their ranks found themselves with one less opportunity for growth. But I mean, this is primarily a supply settlement. This is a forge, and this is a small area that is a crucial point to hold. And I feel like having a smaller army that is more disciplined and more resilient would be far better than, uncountable rabble. Since you aided the production of both of the weapons, commanders of both armies lobbied additional arms. Do we want this? Yes. Since you aided the production of weapons, commanders of both armies lobbied for additional arms. They offered all manner of bribes to be next in line for the fitting session with the masters of the forge. How did you sate the lust for iron? Passing out iron to even the hardiest Scarlet Chorus gang boss would have been a waste of resources. Most of them couldn't wield arms more complicated than a pitchfork, and their chances of surviving a fortnight were suspect. The disfavored, by contrast, knew how to use and respect a capable weapon to its greatest potential. Perhaps more importantly, the disfavored remember their friends when a time of need arises, and their loyalty runs as deep as any vein of ore. Who controlled the crossing? Tragedy struck when a mercenary hired by the voices of Narat injured a forge-bound artisan, leaving him unable to practice his craft. Tunon ordered the mercenaries to leave the city in the hands of Kairos' more responsible servants. Only a token garrison could be left behind while the armies returned to the front. As the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus showed increasing tension and hostility toward each other, Tunon decreed it best that only one force controlled the crossing. There is no question. The disfavored placed a modest garrison in the settlement of Lethian's Crossing. Though the force was larger than might be needed to police the small settlement, protecting the forge-bound ironsmiths became the true agenda of the defense force, as these magical craftsmen kept the disfavored invasion force suited in iron. Relieved at the departure of the Scarlet Chorus, the citizens of Lethian's Crossing felt they got at least the least of two burdens. You received word from Graven Ash thanking you for your decision. The forge-bound and their weaponry could not be entrusted to the voices of Narat. No, not really. When it comes to raw arms... Oh, fuck. With the mercenaries expelled and Lethians crossing under new leadership, Kairos' forces congratulated themselves on bringing order to the settlement and guaranteeing a productive flow of resources. Over the course of this diversion, the army front advanced further into the tiers. Your skills were needed in the realm of Azure, Stalwart, or the Vellum Citadel. Poof. I'll pick one of them. I'll go to one of them. I think this is the right choice. After, I'm assuming, more or less a full year of running Lethian's Crossing, I think it's time for me to pull off a big bank job. The Vellum Citadel was an archive and library of massive scale. Its inhabitants were known as the School of Ink and Quill, a circle of mages that centuries ago carved out their own mountainous refuge on lands unsettled by the other major realms. Legends said that the Citadel housed a treasure trove of arcane knowledge. The Overlord's spies infiltrated the school and confirmed as much. The time was ripe to send a detachment to the great library fortress and force the scholars to yield to Kairos. I will. So I wonder what my relationship is with the two faction leaders, how well I know them as individuals, and not just their methodologies. Because that would have a huge impact in who I trust with higher level forbidden knowledge. I don't love this decision, but I like it more. I want to save as many of these mage lives as possible. Do I like any of these? I don't want to order. I don't want to do a battle. I suppose so. The wisdom of the sages and knowledge of the Vellum Citadel were too important to silence. The disfavored balked at entering the Archon's service, but your ruling left them with no recourse. Archon's Siren or Siren? Say Siren. Siren the Siren. Delighted in having new toys to play with, and promptly enthralled her personal guard. You spotted them in camp days later, following their new mistress with wide-eyed devotion. A little bit of humility goes a long way. He wouldn't have any, no. I have a hard time believing that he would endorse wanton slaughter, the forces slaughtering themselves. I don't think he believes in that bullshit. He doesn't know shit about shit when it comes to fighting. When it comes to structuring an army. So, let's see. A group of enemy mages surrendered to the disfavored, claiming to be spies loyal to the voices of Nerat. No one in the army could verify the claim. The disfavored readied to interrogate the mages, but the Scarlet Chorus protested, demanding that the prisoners be given to their custody. They couldn't risk the voices of Nerat's secrets falling into the wrong hands. You ignored the disfavored threats, sharply reminding them that they marched at Kairos' orders and not their own whims. The mages were released into the custody of the Scarlet Chorus. This is a consistency in ruling. Mages are not disfavored property. They are valuable assets. The Scarlet Chorus accepted the mages into their company with gratitude. After secreting them within tents and out of earshot, you presume that a discussion or interrogation followed. When asked about it the following day, the Scarlet Chorus admitted that they sent the mages to the voices of Nerat with an escort, dispatching them under cover of night without due authorization. You reprimanded the soldiers for keeping you out of the loop, but there was naught else to be done in the matter. It is almost certainly what the voices would have wanted. On a good day. The Edict of Fire, disgusted by your approbation of the Scarlet Chorus, the disfavored forces withdrew from the field of battle. You shitheads. Your small detachment now lacked the manpower to take the Vellum Citadel. Tunon sent word that Kairos' patience had run thin. The Overlord would cast an Edict of Fire on the enemy. The parchment arrived in a slender case of engraved iron. Written on it, the words of a spell powerful enough to destroy the Vellum Citadel. You had the choice of when to read the edict. Reading it at sunrise would offer your enemies no warning of the devastation to come. You could also wait until sunset, giving them ample time to flee or make amends. This is a difficult decision. Because I value subterfuge and I value the importance of spellcraft. And frankly, it's a shame to lose all of that knowledge, to send this thing up in flames and that be done with it. But is that the smart thing to do? I'm gonna trust in the Scarlet Chorus on this one and hope that it doesn't bite me. I know that it seems that, like, from situation to situation, I'm siding with one faction exclusively. That has been the trend, but only because of the nature of each of the locales that I've been to, and what is required. Like, you have two specialized forces. One is going to come in handy in certain, areas more than others. That's just the way it is. You confronted the mages with a warning, and hoped the message was received. The hour before sunset, numerous figures were spotted fleeing the citadel. As the sun dipped under the horizon, he read the words of the edict. The earth shook, and red-orange light glowed in the foundation of the sprawling citadel. Bubbling up from under the library, a torrent of lava heaved with explosive force, gushing from windows and between loose bricks, melting winding trenches in the surrounding land. Days later, the flames still raged on. The conflagration continually fed and renewed by the power of the edict. You probably get it from context clues. I won't read the whole thing. So Kairos has a unique ability to send out decrees that are like incredible force of nature spells. That's it. He can send it, and you can read it, and you reading it activates it. But they are only, I believe, to be handed down by him. He is the only person with the ability. Or she. I actually don't know. I don't think it refers to Kairos as one or the other, and if it does, I don't think anybody knows. Yeah, nobody knows what they look like or who they are, so I will refer to Kairos as they. Kairos could be nothing. Kairos could be both. Kairos could be genderless. Kairos could be a million different, iterations of something living. The Edict of Fire. The armies of Kairos left the devastation of the Vellum Citadel in silence. From that day forward, the Tears came to know the once noble citadel as the Burning Library. There's probably a way that it would not have been the Burning Library. Maybe if I had balanced a little better or something. But it is what it is. It is what it is. This was an undisputed loss of resources, knowledge, culture, and life. But a message had been sent. The Overlord will not tolerate defiance. You didn't have long to rest before Tunon called you into service once more. You were one of the last to depart from the mountains, and as you journeyed off, you spotted a few campfires in the mountains. They were mere specks dwarfed by the inferno, alas, gasps of survivors, or perhaps looters from Kairos' armies bored and daring enough to pick through the ashes. So, where have we ended? Nope, I'm comfortable. So here's what we'll do. We can...
The year is 431,
Sorry.
and Kairos' invasion has shattered all major opposition in the tiers. The Younger Realms, the Bastard Tier, the Free Cities. All who defied Kairos lay broken by battle, or bowed in surrender. The two armies of the Overlord, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, now control our lands.
They do.
But our will is not yet extinguished. Not entirely. In the Valley of Vendrian's Well, those of us unwilling to bow to Kairos have banded together in defiance. Violating an oath of surrender from 2 years prior, we have staged a bloody uprising, murdering the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus garrison in a midnight assault. With their main forces spread across the tiers, the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus redeploy to Vendrian's Well to crush the resistance. But months pass with no definitive battle. As disagreement and discord paralyze the Archons, we bide our time and wait for our message of insurrection to spread across the tiers. The Overlord is not amused, and Kairos has one message for the Archons: crush the Oathbreakers or die. Kairos backs this threat with an edict, a magical commandment that can slay all in the valley should the order be ignored. The honor of proclaiming this edict fell to you.
I'm honored.
Sent across the mountains to Vendrian's Well, you carry the Overlord's edict to read before the Archons.
I'm honored until we
As you
discover...
finally make your way through the winding mountain passes into the valley, the ground trembles, and Kairos' magic seals the way behind you. You are trapped in Vendrian's Well, with Kairos' armies and the Oathbreakers. The only way to survive is to fulfill the terms of the Overlord's edict, in any way that you can.
Sounds good. This is striking. It's good. Let me check my... everything seems... We do have to have big heads. Okay. Aurora. Kairos the Overlord be praised. When I heard the avalanche, I feared the valley was sealed with you on the other side. The disfavored warrior claps her gauntlet to her breast, the traditional salute of her legion. The commander wouldn't say why the governor of Lethian's Crossing would be coming. But since we have no forges here, I imagine you're here to knock some sense into the voices of Narat? She catches herself, clearing her throat with a smile. I mean, mediate with the Archons, so that we might agree on a plan to wipe out these Oathbreakers. Is he a dramatic fella? Does he have a flair for the theatrical? Is he a Pont Stupus? Can you hear that hum in the air? That glow around the rocks? The avalanche is Kairos' magic. The Overlord has sealed the valley. Your senses see more than mine, good Fatebinder. I do not pretend to know much about these things. But if that was Kairos' magic and you're here on important business, well, you don't have to be the Archon of Secrets to guess that you're here to proclaim an edict. What does Kairos have in store for the enemy? 10 years of festering plague. An edict of twisted bones. Glare silently. A nervous smile creeps over her as she waits for a response that doesn't. I'm asking questions beyond my station. She dips low, trembling as she bows. Forgiveness, please. Well, you've traveled a long way. I won't keep you further. I'm sure the Archons will want to hear from you. And her voice falls silent, her attention snapping eastward with alarm. Did you hear that? More runners. 3rd time this week. The Oathbinders keep trying to send messengers through the mountains to gather help from outside the valley. She points over to the collapsed path by which you arrived. But they're a bit late for that now. Come, let's show these Oathbreakers a good fight. Okay. I appreciate how much more simple the combat is in this game than in Pillars. It's very straightforward. You can click your way to success. I should have actually checked how to speed this shit up. I don't recall. That's okay. Fuck, I should have checked. Fuck, I should have checked. There has to be, right? It can't be this slow forever. Please? Okay. No, I get that. Spell creation. Okay. Desiccated corpses line the road of victory to Vendrian's Well. An example of the of the fate that await those who resist Kairos' will. The ancient Weeping Mother statue pays homage to the Queen Lycarius, first of her name. Fresh water once flowed from the statue, but when Kairos' forces attacked Vendrian's well in 429, the statue began weeping blood, and has done so ever since. We should be vigilant and deal with the remaining Oathbreakers in the pass. Carry on. I'm gonna do the one that I think is ultimately safer for me, even if it's not necessarily what he would have done. Because I don't want him to get, like, caught in the pass. You won't. You're gonna help me. No, we gotta fight, and I can't do it.
For the Queen!
I didn't make a character that's good or has good stats, so please do the fighting for me. Yeah, can we work together? Please kill the one that I'm killing. So we can kill them faster and you take less damage, ultimately. Because if you die, Graven Ash is going to be super, super pissed. And I think pissing off the Archon of beating my ass is a terrible decision, so... Nice. I thought you guys hit better, generally. But who am I to judge? Don't bother with me. Go down to the pass. Trust us. The soldier clutches his gut and winces. You can see a hint of entrails between his fingers. Grody? I don't have time for this. Go on. Raven Ash is with me. I trust the man. Good luck. Fuck me.
Try and catch me, worm.
A young Scarlet Fury weaves around the Vendrian Guard attackers, avoiding their weapons with fluid grace. She nods to acknowledge you. A breathless enemy soldier passes a glance to her countrymen. This one's crazy. Too much lead in her water. We should cut our losses and turn back.
Harbinger, still standing after 3 years of war. Come join me in battle once again. We'll show these children how it's done.
I will jump in to make this thing smoother. The Realm of Apex charge the Veteran Guard level.
Look at that, future corpse. Bleed out, you little shit.
Again, like, he's not totally averse to battle. And when it would look extremely bad, and also just not be practical for him to not get involved, he will avoid avoidance. If it's ultimately good for him and his image.
Pity you won't enjoy this as much as I do.
He's not a particularly vain person in a practical sense, but
I can tell you didn't spend the conquest in a diplomat's tent.
the fighter surveys the fresh corpses and nods with satisfaction.
I'm versed, by the way. But there are more important things to take care of than introductions. Those Vendrian Guard we killed didn't come alone.
She gestures to the skirmish unfolding in the pass below, shaking her head. Why are the Vendrian God attacking now?
My guess?
The Vendrian Guard are testing our strength in battle, learning how we perform before they organize a real offensive. That or they're really, really desperate to get beyond the mountains and couldn't wait until nightfall.
Fight like a storm. What's your role in the army?
A Scarlet Fury, one of the elite killers of our ignoble gang. You'll see more than a few of us around camp, but don't let that fool you. We're a rare breed. Most of the soldiers in the Scarlet Chorus are little more than farmers and children armed with rusted forks. Makes them easier to control. The voices of Nerat called his best fighters to this siege. There must be something important about Vendrian's well, though don't ask me what. The Archon isn't in the habit of spilling secrets.
I'm ready if you are.
Eager. I like that. Before we go, you might search among the remains of our fallen comrades. Wherever they're bound, I doubt they'll miss their boots, much less any rings or any useful iron they might be clutching.
I see your point. Nice and practical.
No reason to pity the fallen. Before long, we might wish we'd joined them here. But at least we'll enjoy heavy pockets and warm toes. For the voices of Nerat!
Verse furrows her brow and focuses down on the battle to come. I don't really need that. That's cool. Alright. Eyes forward, no looking back. The Vendrian Guard warrior roars with his falc's head held high, his words largely lost over the din of combat. Stand aside or your funeral will be over the side of the bluff. Seeing you squarely in his path, the soldier points his weapon in your way. I applaud your bravery, but I implore you to end this foolishness and lay down your arms. Not a chance. If I surrender, I'm good as dead. At least we can drag some of Kairos' chosen along a short journey to the void. As he signals his men to charge, the sound of chanting rises from the south, drawing his attention. Scarlet Chorus reinforcements. Hurry! Good, I could use them. Run down the Oathbreakers. Let none escape. From the red mob of reinforcements from the south, the Blood Chanter emerges at the head of the rabble, the ornamental crest of her staff pulsing with crimson tones. Signing sigils of magic and wordlessly moving her mouth, the Blood Chanter scribes a series of spells into the air. A red glow surrounds the Vendrian Guard warriors as the Chanter's magic worms its way into their minds, blinding them with rage. Hold position! All of you, you there, keep to the path. The warrior gestures along the canyon trail, but his soldiers turn their attention to the Scarlet Chorus, roaring challenges. No, don't engage them. We need to run. His orders falling on deaf ears, the warrior reluctantly readies his weapon. Fucking doofus. That's great, Verse. You want to jump in here? I think you can automate your followers. I think. Which isn't strictly practical. If you want, like, the best results, but I don't want to micromanage. You could in Pillars too, but I feel like that's a death sentence.
You still with me, boss? Not a problem, boss.
No, I'm dead. No biggie though. Come quick. We have a situation on the cliffside. They have the commander. Okay. You got it. I want your stuff. Stow your weapons. We find out how long a man screams before hitting the ravine down below. Cornered between a precipitous drop and a band of angry soldiers, the Oathbreaker warrior holds a disfavored officer at knife point. Skewer him. Worry not for me. Raven Ash will protect. The disfavored officer winces, blood seeping from the seams of his bracers and cuirass. God, that was a challenge to get through, apparently. Yeah, Graven Ash has they have incredible healing powers. I don't know if that kind of drop is good though. You heard the man. He plainly invited you to use that little blade of yours. What are you waiting for? Permission from your pimp? This blade. The jerk of the knife. He slices off a clump of Drastus's matted hair. If you're so eager to see your ally dead, just step closer. Release the prisoner and you might know the inside of a cell. And I'm sure that cell will have daily visits from the Scarlet Chorus cads thirsty for a bit of torture. He shakes his head, pulling his captive closer. I'd rather take my chances with death. Now that's unfair. I assure you it's more a hunger for torture than a thirst. But you are correct. We have no charity left for those who have laughed at our mercy once before. The blood chanter slams her staff on the ground, curling her fingers with a quivering hand. If you fools won't deal with it, maybe I will. Quick thinking. The Oathbreaker cracks a wide smile as you lower your weapon. That's right. Now the rest of you, drop those weapons. With his attention on the other warriors, you dash forward. He reaches out with his dagger to slay Drastus, but your hand is already on his wrist. With a wrenching twist, you mangle his hand, dropping the dagger harmlessly on the ground. The disfavored warriors rush forward from either side of you. Tyrell barely manages to strain gasp before being hacked and impaled upon their swords and spears. Nice. Kairos be praised. That Oathbreaker fought with the rage of Cairn himself. Drastus slides a trembling hand along the cut on his neck. Thank you, Fatebinder. I thought today was my last. From the look of it, guess they thought if they swarmed the pass, maybe one might make it out. We found a few scraps of parchment on the bodies. Drastus holds out a handful of crumpled parchments for your inspection. Most folks can't read. A student of letters such as yourself should be able to make sense of this. Examine the parchment. Repeating the same messages in different written scripts, the parchments explain the Vendrian Guard's desire to overthrow Kairos' Archons and rout their armies from the tiers. The pages aren't addressed to any specific reader, but rather openly invites all who remain loyal to the younger realms to gather at Vendrian's Well. Recruitment material. They were trying to bring more traitors to the fight. Well, from the look of it, we kept them from slipping out of the valley. Whatever they hoped to accomplish, I think their plan died here. The Archons are expecting you. When you're ready, leave by the gate to the southeast and follow the trails down slope for a few hours. You'll see the campfires, leagues away. Can't miss it. Thank you. Well, I was hoping to get to the Archons tonight, but I think I'm gonna have to call it for now. I'm tired, and it's 5:30 in the morning. I hope that makes sense. For those who tuned in, thank you. For those who didn't, but it will be a VOD, and I will label them for episode. So, join in, if you will. Thank you.